Okay, well, on the bench right now is a Sony SLV-D380P, and there is the model number right there. And it's had a little bit of use, and the complaint on this unit is that it eats tapes. Let's see, let's take a quick peek at the back of the unit. We'll look at the nomenclature back here. SLV-D380P. I don't see a date, maybe an eagle eye commenter will see it. Something about the CFR certification dated 2001. I know it's later than that. Component on the right hand side looks like, and composite on the left right there with a, what is that? Oh, digital. They used black for digital on this one instead of orange. So anyhow, we've got the component, basically the blue, the red, and the green, which is R minus Y, B minus Y, and Y. And then over here we've got the composite inputs and outputs. Well, let's go ahead and get a overhead camera fired up, and we'll take a look at this thing and see what it does. Okay, I do have the screws out of it, so let's go ahead and just pop the top. I have not removed the top yet. I wanted to bring you guys along and see if we see anything right off the bat that would indicate why it is eating tapes. Other than like a little bit of dust in here, it doesn't look too terribly bad. Definitely needs to be blown out. Yeah, this is the same. I think it was a Samsung mechanism. Let me put this back in autofocus that I did a little bit ago that had a broken gear, and I actually found the entire mechanism for like $40, I think. And yeah, it was definitely a better deal than trying to repair the mechanism, considering that the parts were not available from Samsung. Let's get the cord unraveled here, and we'll get this thing plugged in and see if it does anything. Oh, it did something. I didn't catch what it was, but it actually did something. Well, let's power this on. Okay, power has been applied. So let me just find a tape that can be munched quite easily. It's doing stuff on its own. Okay. It's in the DVD mode up here on the front panel. You really can't see it, but it's in the video mode now. And I'm just going to pop a tape into it and we'll see what it wants to do. Oh, it's not a good sound. But it's actually barely taking the tape up. Oh, just barely. Look at that. Let me zoom in on it over here. Oh, it's spilling. And yeah, that's not a good sound coming from the bottom of the mechanism. So yeah, it's going to eat this one, definitely. Yep. Okay, definitely munched it away. Okay. We'll set that tape aside and get the front panel removed here and get the mechanism out where I can look at the bottom of it and I can see what's making that groaning, growling noise. So I'm going to go ahead and pop off the cross brace right here. These actually just unsnap with moderate force. And sometimes they will break. I might as well show you this in kind of real time. I think I have the same exact model. And I think the front jacks stay on this unit. And yeah, they do. It's just, it's this ground plane that's hanging me up right now. Just got to work it off of the jacks. Be careful. It's very sharp. It will cut you. It doesn't care. Recording through line input only. I remember that on the unit that I have. I think the sticker is actually still on it. Let me make sure power has been removed, and people seem to like the real-time videos, so okay, let's do it. Cross brace removed. Have a storage compartment that you can put your different screws in so you don't get them mixed up. As I recall, this thing actually comes apart pretty doggone easily. So once again, different compartment for different screws. Let's go ahead and pop the zoom in just maybe not quite that much. And at this point, I think I'll put it in manual focus so it doesn't start to hunt as I'm moving things around. Now, as I recall, we need to disconnect the audio control erase head. Right there. I folded the cable back and stuck it through that little slot in the mechanism. There might be a screw on the bottom, however, I don't think there is. Let's just try to give it just the tiniest amount of encouragement. And, oh, no, missed one. I was at the wrong perspective, so I missed that screw. Right, well, right there. That was hiding underneath this ribbon cable. Okay, now I think it might make slightly easier work of popping the mechanism out. And yes, it did. There it is. Okay, so temporarily we can just set this part completely aside. One moment. Okay, well there is the mechanism completely out of the unit. And I'm curious about the bottom of the mechanism, so I'm going to pop it over like that. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but I'm just going to go ahead and rotate this around. And what I want to make sure is that this pulley right here is coupled to that gear down there. There's supposed to be a clutch mechanism in here. And as you can see, it doesn't have much resistance. So I'm going to pop off the belt. We can probably reuse it. It's not too terribly bad. Let me find a small screwdriver and we'll get out this split clip right here. Just like that. We'll set that in a separate compartment over here so we don't lose it. Now what I'm looking for on this unit is there's normally a pressed in gear, and I've had these go bad on these units in the past. Geez, do I need to remove this complete loading arm? It's a possibility. So if you're going to pull this thing apart, like I'm doing basically live, well not live, it's pre-recorded before a studio audience, make sure that when you put it back together, that line lines up with that hole right there. That line right there lines up with that hole, and then these two holes line up together. So I'm going to have to pull that screw out right there, and then once that's removed, I should be able to get this slider mechanism hopefully out of the unit. We'll see how it goes. I should just do this live. I don't think enough people will be watching when I do it live, unfortunately. Yeah, I may have to actually remove this gear completely because this actually needs to flip up like that. Otherwise it's not going to come out. And it looks like it's going to be pretty easy to remove. It's just got this one little tab right there. I just press that down. And then this gear just pops off pretty easily. And probably at this point, if I turn this over, these are going to fall out. But let's go ahead and lift up on the slider, get the hair off of it there. Now I'd kind of like to get this whole thing up and out of here. Oh, I see. Okay, so it's got two little tabs. You can see them right there that need to be pushed aside. This one's kind of hard to get to. There we go. So they are released. Oh, it's held down with a spring. Okay, I don't see an issue there. Shoot. No, it's not. It's just wedged in with a spring. Okay, well that's fine. That comes off quite easily. So what? Oh shoot, I flipped it over. My bad. So it kind of clips in right there on that spring. Hopefully you can see that. And now we have spillage. Okay, well we know they go there, so I'll set those. I'm sorry, we know that they go right there. So we'll set those guys aside just like that. And I think what's going on is this gear is not coupling to this gear. And I think I've had that before. Something cracks. Sorry, off camera once again, my bad. I'm not a videographer by any means. I think that is supposed to be pressed into this part right here. So that means we got to flip this back over again and probably remove a bunch of this stuff to get that clutch mechanism out of here completely. So I'm going to pop that spring off. And then normally these guys just unclip fairly easily. There's one that's out. Just that little tab right there. Oh, that one's got two tabs. Okay, that one's done. Set those guys aside. Now I wonder if we can try to partially load. I don't know if that would be a good idea. Well, we'll try to do it without. Now as I recall, this just snaps into place. Just like that. So it just snaps around that main shaft right there. Oh, of course, pieces are just falling off. Oh, that's excellent. Okay, so make sure you keep that thing upside down like that, otherwise these gears will just fall away. And I think that's going to be the money shot right there, where these are supposed to be lined up together. Oh no, this way. Yeah, I've worked on these before. I recognize this. Okay, so let me go ahead and set these guys down and zoom in on it just a tad. So what's supposed to happen, and what actually does happen, is these two halves, as you can see, well now, there's three tabs on this gear, and they're supposed to go into those three slots. And somewhere on this gear, I guarantee you, there's going to be a crack. And put it back in autofocus so you can see it a little bit better. There's the crack right there. And it allows these two halves to come uncoupled, basically. It'll kind of hold together, and it might work for a little while, but it needs to be actually repaired. So the way I repair this, and I get a lot of comments about it, I'm going to go ahead and clean all of the oil and grease off of these gears, and I'm going to go ahead and scuff up the inside of this one, I'm sorry, the outside of this one very slightly, and the inside of this one, and then I'm going to add just the lightest little bit of hot glue to it and reassemble this as a complete assembly, which is how it should have came from the factory. And then that meshes with this gear when all is said and done, just like that. And it changes from high torque by moving this slightly to low torque. So it's got a clutch. It's got a wrap spring clutch right here that allows it to slip. So let's go ahead and get this prepped up, some acetone, and rough it up on the inside just a little bit. And then we will add a little bit of hot glue. You can certainly see the crack very clearly right there. But yeah, had this issue several times. One moment. So I'm just wiping this with a cotton swab with acetone to get the grease off. Okay, pretty happy with that, or those I should say. So I just need to take a little, like a little grinding wheel, and just rough up the surface, because that's what the hot glue is going to set to. Now, I've had people say, why don't you use super glue? Well, basically super glue is permanent. And once you glue with super glue, it's done. The nice thing about hot glue is it has a lower melting point than these nylon gears have. So if I need to change something, I can actually heat up the gears and it will help make the glue molten once again. And I can move things around if necessary. Alright, so I've got my little Harbor Freight Dremel thingamabob here. And I use that because it has a super fine point. I'm just going to scar this up. Now I just kind of want to do a test fit. It actually should be tighter now because of the ridges I created. It locks back in there perfectly. It actually is a lot tighter. But next we need to go ahead and add a little bit of hot glue. And what I typically do is just add it to the 3 little dimples on that gear and then quickly try to press the 2 halves together. And it'll actually spread out on the inside here as well. So I'm going to get the hot glue gun warmed up and mate these two gears back together as one. And I figured while I'm waiting for the hot glue to warm up, I'd go ahead and clean the gunk out of this pulley with a cotton swab with acetone. It's very dark. This will help the belt to grab better. Well, I think that's as good as it's going to get. And I'll go ahead and service the belt at the same time. Paper towel, folded in half, soaked with acetone. Just drag the belt through it. It's going to remove the contaminants from the belt. People are going to hate it, but it actually helps the belt to last longer by removing contaminants from the belt. I've got some VCRs that are probably 20, 30 years old, and the belts are still in pristine condition. You can see how much it removes. And the belt feels so much better. It's much grippier. It removes the glazing from the belt. And since a lot of the parts have fallen off of this, we'll go ahead and do the same thing with the pulley on the capstan motor. Okay. Still waiting on the hot glue gun to warm up. One moment. So I got my hot air blower set up here. I've got it set to 250 degrees. And I'm just going to try to preheat this gear just a little bit before I add the hot glue to it, so it'll help it slide down and slide together. And hopefully nothing begins to melt. I believe the melting point is above 250 degrees. But I'll come back in a moment. We'll add the hot glue and put these things together. No, unfortunately, it went off camera, but there it is, glued back together. So I'll let it cure like it's curing on my finger right there. And I think we're going to be good. Okay, and while we're here, let's go ahead and service the mode select switch, which I've never had issues with on one of these units. Now, this is a contact type mode select switch, which means when you turn it, let me pull the microphone off here and I'll put it next to it so you can hear what it sounds like. So it's actually pushing contacts up and down. And so I'm just going to try to pop these little tabs out of the way without breaking it, hopefully. No, it does not want to let go. Well, we'll just try to pop it open from the back. Oh, so close. Snap back into place. Doggone it, it does not want to come open. Okay, there's one tab out. Oh, it's going to be hard to see. Okay, there's the other tab, and there it's open. There's the push button assembly that kind of fell out of place, and we'll put that back in a moment. So basically, to clean this mode select switch, all you need to do is add some deoxit D5. I'm just going to give it a little squirt, just like that. And the way this works is it pushes these little contacts down, just like that. I'm not going to blow it out. I want to leave the deoxit in there because it has an oiling property to it. So I'm going to try to put this guy back into place. It has to go over these little pegs. Maybe. Please go over the pegs. And I think the reason it won't go over the pegs is because I have it upside down. Okay, so that's how it works. It pushes the contacts down just like that, and I'll try to show you. It's got raised ridges on this portion of the mode select switch. So once you've got that, I don't know what to call it, the little button pusher down, just snap it back together like that and run it around a bunch of times. It's actually going to scrub the contacts with the deoxit in there. And like I said, I'm going to leave it in there because it has lubricating properties. Make sure that you line up that post straight up if your mechanism was in time. So I believe that this is glued and cured appropriately at this point. So let's go ahead and pop it back together. I see a little bit of excess glue. I might try to dig it out of that little slot right there. Okay, it's out of the gear, the teeth at least, and all the rest of them look perfectly fine. Okay, let's put this thing back together. So the first thing is just go ahead and reinstall this gear on that shaft. And I'm holding the gear up in place. And go ahead and snap this other set of gears back into place. And that's going to keep that main gear from wanting to fall out from under there again. And something doesn't seem right. Well, I guess it is. It moves up and down for higher or low torque. So there's like play, and then when it comes down here, it's fast forward and rewind. Huh, okay. That's right. That's what this guy right here does. That changes it from high torque to low torque. And as I recall, you got to like finagle this thing around. You know what? I did it out of order. My bad. So pull this back off. We're all human. We all fall short. I need to put that in there first. Then that goes on there. That's going to go up under the tabs. Push the locking tabs down. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, that's what moves it up and down from high torque to low torque. Now, doggone it. And they both fell off. Isn't that nice? Snap it back into place. All right, it goes from high torque to low torque as it moves up and down. There's slow, basically low torque, and there's fast for fast forward and rewind or high torque. And I guess we can go ahead and assemble the loading gears if I can get them in there correctly. And I think the back tension arm is in the wrong location. And yes, it's fully loaded. So I need to unload. This is the back tension arm. And they bring that loading guide back down there. And then I got to remember what order these gears go back together. I'm thinking that's the one for this side. Line up the dots right there. Those are in position. I'm perfectly happy with that. We still have the brakes to install, but those go up on the top of the chassis, so we'll do that momentarily. We need to install this loading gear. Out of order. Sorry, my bad. This guy has to go in first. Just like that. Make sure your dots line up. That dot lines up with that dot, and then that dot lines up with that snap. This one had the single bracket right there. That's what holds this loading gear down. And I think it's in position. Everything looks good. This is going to be a long video. I will try to speed some of it up. All right, that is loaded. It's good. I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and attach the brakes and the spring at this point. If I can remember how it all goes back together, that would be the good part. There we go, snapped together, perfect. I'm gonna have to blow this out. There's a bunch of hair in it. Yeah, I know it's gonna be hard to see, but that spring gets attached and then it actually goes underneath that little tab right there like that. I'm not sure why they opted to do it, but I know that's the way they did it. Maybe it helps keep this piece, because it does move, it helps keep it pulled back that way. Get a little bit better zoomed in view here. Main gear. split washer. It's on there good. I'm going to wipe off my fingers just to get any residual grease off of them, because I'm going to handle the clean belt next. And the belt did right itself, which means it is square. So there's one tip of the square on the top. You want to make sure it's not twisted as it goes around there, and that looks perfect. And it's definitely got way more than enough torque. You can see how it slacks up on the left hand side right here as I try to over torque it. Okay, I'm happy with that. The mechanism is reassembled. Now we just got to put it back together. I'll have to do a cleaning on this unit because it definitely needs a good cleaning. But let's put it together, put a tape in it, and see if it wants to play at this point. Okay, let's go ahead and clean the take-up and the supply reel rotation sensors, just because we're here. So I got a cotton swab that's lightly moistened with a regular household glass cleaner, and just want to kind of get it down in between there and just wipe off the face of the emitter and the detector. I'm not sure which is the emitter and which is the detector on this unit. And then taking the dry end, just put it in between there and rock it side to side, and I'll show you why I'm doing that briefly when I get zoomed in here. Okay, one moment. Let me put this in the macro mode so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I've tried to focus it the best I can, but you can see there's a little dimple on the red side, which I believe is the receiver. Actually, that one might be the emitter. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm not too terribly worried about it. And then it's going to go out of focus. I'm going to lift it back up until it becomes in focus again. But you can see a little dimple on the white side right there. So it passes basically a beam. Let me get refocused on here. So it basically passes a beam of light from one side to the other side. That's one of the detectors, and then the other one lives somewhere over here. There it is. Lives right there. And so what happens is the reel table has slots cut in it, and it makes and breaks the infrared beam by either blocking or not blocking this. And it sends that signal to the microprocessor, and that way it knows if the reel table is actually turning. Okay, let's get zoomed out and let's refocus. And now to put this thing back together, it's just a matter of dropping it in place. So what you want to make sure when you're putting this back together is that that hole right there is straight up on this gear if you have this mode select switch lined up, because that's where it mates. And I do believe that it is. So I'm just going to line up the pegs here. Give it a little downward force. There's a couple plugs that do have to plug in. And then I'll go ahead and put the screws back in it. And I'll be back in one moment. Okay, screws are reinstalled. Let's plug the audio control erase head back in right here. Just like that. And I guess we can put the cross brace back on it. I may clean the DVD pickup. I'm not sure. Let's see. This thing goes... yeah. There it goes. It goes like that. Two screws go back in it. Just like that. I think we can power this thing up now without the front panel being attached. and we'll see what's going to happen. It should do something. There it goes. So it did kind of right itself. Power is on. Let's put that same tape back in it that it ate previously and see what it sounds like now. And somewhere there's the play button. There it is. It definitely sounds much better. It has adequate torque. It's taking up the tape. Can actually, oh yeah, it's got a lot of torque now. Perfect. So we'll stop it. We'll go to fast forward. I want to make sure that it switches from low torque to high torque. So right now it's doing a comparison. It's checking the amount of tape on this reel to the amount of tape on that reel based on how fast the capstan motor moves. And that's working perfect. Now I think these things have a high-speed rewind function where if you start near the end of the tape, it actually really puts this thing to the metal, to the red line. But we'll try it from there. Rewind. No, it's not super fast, but it's moving right along. Okay, stop. And where is the give it back button? Eject, way up in there. Okay, eject. Make sure it gives it back without eating it. Okay, one moment. I'm going to get the video capture device connected and make sure it actually plays back a usable picture. Okay, all back together. Let's pop a tape into it. Make sure we get a picture on the screen here. Oh, I guess it helps if I press play. The tab is not busted out of this tape yet. So it should do auto tracking at this point.
DVDs like Pirates of the Caribbean 2 and Talladega Nights.
Preston, sit up straight.
Should do auto tracking.
You're going to the Super Bowl with it. Mom and Dad.
Disconnect the video signal and reconnect it. There it is. It probably just had too much noise. It couldn't capture it. But anyhow, it is actually recording. It looks good. The playback picture is excellent for an SLP tape. Yeah, that looks good. Let's go ahead and grab a 2-hour tape and make sure that it will actually play back a 2-hour tape. Stop. Eject. Two-hour tape going in. This checks both the SLP or the EP heads and the SP heads to make sure that it will play back in both modes. And that looks perfect. It's in hi-fi stereo. I'm just curious why it didn't want to play back the SLP tape. I think it just overcame the capture device with noise. And capture device thought there was nothing there. Let's give it one more try and see what happens.
Remember either of you? All new house after an encore episode.
It says NTSC, but the only way to restore it is I've got to disconnect the video by unplugging it right here and then re-plug it back in. And then everything's happy after that. Okay. I'm going to say that's a win. Because without the capture device, I think it would be recording or playing back just fine. All right, stop, eject. I'm happy with that. I'm going to clean the mechanism off camera, most likely. I may do it on camera. I think this video has gone on more than long enough. And I still need to test the DVD as well. So let's go ahead and get this moved over here where you can see it. I have the DVD drawer open. I need to switch it over to the DVD mode. There it is. Hopefully it's still capturing, and yes, it actually is. Here is a tape. Might get a copyright. I'm not sure. Close. See if it can actually read the DVD. Luckily, I do have the customer's original remote. It might need an optical cleaning. I'm not sure. No, so far so good. Waiting, waiting, waiting. And it does not want to seem to play back. Oh, no, there it goes. Look at that. So don't use this in public, basically. Remember that old copyright warning? Let's just go ahead and skip ahead a couple tracks. And there it goes.
That's, Can you turn the lights on?
Okay, working perfect.
Look,
I'm still going to go ahead and clean the DVD mechanism.
2 years ago,
So let's
the
go
underwear
ahead
factory
and
closed
stop it.
down.
And eject the disc. I'm going to power this thing down. And normally you can go ahead and just pop off this cover with a couple of tabs. Once you get one side, normally this ought to pop off quite easily. Might need just a little bit of encouragement. There we go. Come on, baby. Why do you got to be like that? That side's out. Oh, doggone it. Oh, there's no way I can get in there. It's such a weird angle. Let go, let go. No, I do not want to have to pull the mechanism out just to do a cleaning. Well, we're going to make it work. One way or the other. Come on. Yeah, one's released. I can't get the other tab to let go, though. Oh, I need a 90-degree screwdriver. Maybe I can get a hose pick. Oh, come on, baby. You gotta release. Come on, Wilson Phillips, please release me. Yeah, maybe fingernails would work better. Yes, fingernails to the win. So what there is, why I'm having such trouble, is there's two tabs on one side and one tab on the other side. But now that that's open, let me go ahead and zoom in on the optical pickup. Okay, there is the optical pickup, zoomed in view. So here is an LED light, and look at all of the contaminants and all of the dust that are on the face of that optical pickup. So I've got a cotton swab moistened, very lightly moistened with a regular household glass cleaner. Once again, nothing with ammonia, because ammonia will strip the optical coating off of the optical pickup. Try saying that 10 times fast. I've got the dry end right here. Very, very light pressure while applying a very light downward force while rotating the cotton swab. And I believe this cotton swab has some kind of a defect to it because it's got way too much cotton swab on the end of it. But nevertheless, let's take a look at it now after cleaning, and I like that much, much better. But while we're here, always clean the turntable. Just the top side of where the disc actually clamps. That gets all the contamination off of it. And if there's like a grain of sand on one side, it'll actually cause the disc to try to wobble and create a little bit of jitter in the mechanism, which is not good. Okay, happy with that. Let's snap this thing on. Hopefully it goes on easier than it came off. And yes, it does. Okay, I'm going to pop the disc back into it. Let's get zoomed out where you can actually see what's going on here. Okay, disc going back in. Oh, helps if I turn the power on, I guess. Yeah, that's probably a good thing. Okay, power on. Disc closed. Capture device is still recording, and it thinks it wants to open because I pressed open as it was closing. Okay, let's see if it reads the table of contents any better this time. It shows it's still reading. I believe it's actually playing at this point. And it is. Okay, once again, let's move ahead a couple of tracks. And it's actually playing perfectly.
Ed?
All right, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and clean the VHS mechanism off camera, and we'll get this thing put back together and get it ready to get back to my customer. Once again, another one that's been here way too long.
I'll tell you something.
Trying to get caught up as fast as I possibly can. Go ahead and leave me a question, a comment, a concern down below, good or bad. I try to respond to the comments when I have time.
The best you could.
While you're down there, hit that subscribe button and like this video if you could. It really does help my channel grow. You can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at NorCal715. You can email me, norcal715videos@gmail.com. As of right now, it is December 2023. If you want to contact me, go ahead and leave me a comment on one of the videos. That is the best way to reach me. I get so many emails, and I've just got such limited time at this point. I'm trying to crank this stuff out basically as fast as it's coming in, and it's a losing battle. I probably get 100 emails a day, and 98 of those are spam. And so I need to check emails more often. I just haven't had time. Once again, I apologize for that, just because of what's going on in my life since basically January of last year. Still trying to get caught up. I really appreciate everyone's patience. Yeah, that's about it. It's working. I love it. Let's put it back together and get it back to my customer. Remember, with your help, we can try to get these things out of the landfill, out of the recycle bin, and out of the e-waste facility. Everyone, thank you for making it to the end of this video. I really, really appreciate it. Everyone have a great day. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.
We talked about this over by the milk. Really?
Come here! Come here! Hot! This is great! I can't believe it! Come here!
Okay, little bonus material. Let's go ahead and clean the VHS chassis. Cotton swab soaked with acetone, not just moistened on this. And so I want to scrub the angle guides. And I'm going to scrub the back tension arm, even though it only makes contact on basically the left side. Clean this angle guide. So I'll probably have to go over this a couple of times just because that's how much crap I got off so far. Resoak it, and so let's go ahead and let's clean the audio. This is the full erase head actually. And that's not too terribly bad. And then I want to scrub the roller for the entrance angle guide. as well as I want to scrub the upper and lower part where the tape actually contacts. And the same thing with the exit, scrub the upper and lower portion where the tape actually touches. And then I'm rotating the roller with my thumb while scrubbing up and down on the roller just to clean it. And that actually looks pretty good. I'm going to grab a new cotton swab and we'll clean the audio control erase head. And it looks like on this unit it's only an audio control head. It does not actually have an erase head. It does have a space for it, but they didn't populate it with an actual erase head. They were cutting corners. You know how it goes. Clean that guide, clean the capstan shaft itself. And based on what I'm seeing here, it definitely needed it. That's how much came off the capstan shaft. This is the exit guide. It provides a slight amount of back tension to the tape for the pinch roller to operate more effectively so it doesn't crinkle the tape. Now it is plastic, but acetone will not hurt this, and look how much came off of that. Now the pinch roller. This thing is going to be a mess. So basically just scrub it up and down with the cotton swab. It will probably take 2 or 3 times to get this thing clean. Okay, that's one time. And then we'll save the best for last, the video heads and cylinder, or cylinders, as I should say. If you stayed for the bonus material, please let me know. And thank you once again. Yeah, okay, that's 2 scrubs on the pinch roller. So I like to do it until it basically comes up almost spotless, which will probably mean 1 or 2 complete scrubs. So I'm scrubbing and very, very slowly rotating the pinch roller. This is getting all the oxides off the pinch roller that are embedded into it that leave the tape as it's playing. It's a little bit better, probably 1 more scrub, and we'll call it good at that point because I actually don't see anything with my eyes right now. The pinch roller is very clean and deglazed because it does pick up a glazing of the oxides off of the tape over time. And yeah, much, much better compared with the first scrub. Okay, let's do the video heads. This is always a point of controversy, and I will get messages from, you know, haters gotta hate. You can't clean it with cotton swabs. It'll destroy the heads. Well, so what I'm doing right now is just cleaning the cylinder only. I'm not actually contacting the video heads at all. I will do that on the next or next to next pass. I'm just cleaning the cylinder, getting the gunk off of the actual rotating cylinder at this point, and you can see how much I've gotten off of it right there. Next, I'm going to go ahead and clean the heads, but I'm going to contact the heads with this portion of the cotton swab way back here. I don't want the full swab up against the heads. So I'm being very, very careful, applying very, very light pressure and only cleaning in a horizontal wipe. So I'm not cleaning vertically up and down whatsoever. And I'm just going to spin it just to make sure I got all the grooves cleaned out. And we got that much more off the lower cylinder. Well, the lower part of the upper cylinder, I should say. Next, we'll wipe the lower cylinder. I want to make sure that the heads are nowhere near where I'm wiping. That's a set of heads. That's one head right there. So as I'm wiping, I have the video heads turned so they're not making contact with the cotton swab, because there might be a slight amount of up and down motion at this point. And the last thing I want to do is destroy a set of heads for my customer. Look how much came off the bottom cylinder. That is freaking nasty. And I'm going to give it a second pass here, just to make sure I've got 98% of the residue off of it. I can live with 2%. That's fine. And look at that, second pass. Much, much better. Okay, well, there it is. The VHS mechanism all cleaned up and ready to go. Let's go ahead and pop a tape into it. I'm going to start the capture device very shortly. Let's power this unit back on. Okay, power has been applied. And I'm recording in 3, 2, 1, capture. And it shows it is recording. Let's go ahead and switch it over to the VHS mode. And first I'm going to go ahead and apply a SP tape, or a 2-hour tape, into the unit. It shows it's playing. We'll let it do auto tracking. Okay, that is perfect. It says it's in hi-fi. So that means the hi-fi heads are good and the SP video heads are fine as well. So I'm going to stop it and eject it. Next, I'll go ahead and pop in a 6-hour tape. And I'll hit play. And that is a 6-hour tape playing perfectly fine. There it is. It's working. I certainly hope you enjoyed the bonus material. Everyone have a great day. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Wonder if a possible argument at the club may have sparked.
Okay, here we go. This is a Sony SLV-D380P. Initial checkout. Move it back slightly. One moment. And mate these two guys back together. Now this is a contact . All right, let's put this thing back together. Hopefully I can quit coughing. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3. Okay, here we go. Video capture device recording in 3, 2, 1, capture. And it shows it is recording. Check, check. 1, 2, 3.